If you woke up this morning thinking, how can I help the war effort? Then you're a man's man. Whether you are an ally of freedom or on the axis of evil, you need to know your role in the section. The backbone of any infantry section is the rifleman. He takes initiative and is the first line of defense and offense. Watch as this soldier uses the Springfield rifle. He has a single, bolt-action firing rate. He can even adjust his sights by pressing X and scrolling with his mouse wheel. Now he can hit the enemy at even greater distances. His buddy with the M1 Garand has an edge. Within a fraction of a second, his gas-operated clip feeds another bullet into the chamber, allowing for a semi-automatic firing rate, thus equaling the firepower of several men armed with the standard Springfield. But don't let the M1 fool you. It has its weaknesses. Close quarters are the friend of any submachine gunner, like the German MP40, so it's a good idea to keep them at bay with your rifle, which is better suited for ranges of 100 to 300 meters. Each rifleman should familiarize himself with his pack. The standard kit carries smoke grenades, some in the toxic phosphorus variety, frag grenades, field dressing, an entrenching tool or shovel, and a personal sandbag. If you're lucky, like our British friends with the Lee Enfield, you'll also find yourself with a sidearm. But let's not forget, one of the most vital tools of the rifleman. No, not the camera, Johnny. It is the canteen. It's important for every soldier to stay hydrated in order to build up stamina. Ah, refreshing. Like a mother at your bedside during the flu season, the medic is here to take care of you. Although they are equipped with a rifle, the greatest contribution to this section is sticking a syringe into your sorry rear end. It's filled with morphine and gives you just the right jolt to pick you up. Unlike your mother, don't expect the medic to kiss your boo-boo after healing you with a field dressing. Good, all better. Now back to the fight, soldier. The beast of the pack, the automatic rifleman, carries a fully automatic machine gun designed to rip enemy sections to shreds. Use the kit wisely to provide suppressive covering fire. If you're lucky enough to have such a whopper, find yourself a nice bunker, window, or bush. Now look for the enemy in trenches, defilades, open fields, or down streets. Think, where would I hide if I were the enemy? And pow! Strike them dead with a hail of bullets only you can provide. Don't expect to look down the sights while hip firing. You would have better luck playing a round of 18 blindfolded. Instead, walk up to a low wall, or prone on the ground, and press C to deploy the bipod. Shoot in short bursts, and sway from side to side, like slow dancing with your sweetheart. If needed, you can always change your firing rate by pressing the middle mouse button. The marksman is the assassin of the battlefield. They hide in the shadows, in bushes, or high up in the building. Armed with both a scoped rifle and a set of binoculars, he is best suited to be the reconnaissance arm of the section. You'll be sure to reach legendary marksman status after taking out high-value targets, such as section leads, automatic riflemen, light anti-tanks, and the elusive enemy snipers. When you hear the tracks or the roaring engine of an enemy vehicle, be sure to ask for a helping hand. As a good neighbor, your section's light anti-tank gunner will come to your aid. An enemy tank can make quick work of any infantry section. The LAT needs to be your David against the Goliath, that is the enemy armor. They'll need to set aside their rifle in order to launch a few AT rounds. Traversing the battlefield are a wide range of vehicles. It is important to know what each of them are, as well as their weaknesses. Take the transport for instance. It is lightly armored and can be easily pierced by a rocket. Better yet, a hit to the fuel storage will light it up like the 4th of July. An armored vehicle, like the Panther, is thickly armored. Don't expect just any shot to get through. Angle the rounds so that they will hit perpendicular to the slanted armor. Get in close, within 100 meters, and position yourself to strike the top where the armor is weakest. If immobilization is your goal, a well-placed shot to the rear could hit the engine, or you could hit the tank on the side against the tracks. If you're lucky, that rear shot might strike the fuel storage and transform the tank into a crematorium. Alongside the rocket launcher, the kit is also equipped with an anti-tank mine. When possible, place these charges on the vehicle itself, like so. This not only helps damage internal components, but is necessary for the magnetic variants. Like butter on toast, the radio man should stay near the section leader. This allows for regroup calls to be placed and, more importantly, updated. Binoculars, found amongst the standard gear, and the importance of his radio, enable him to act as a second-in-command if directed by the section leader. He can use the larger line of sight to direct his section and call out points of interest. Second only to the light anti-tank gunner, a combat engineer provides another infantry response to vehicle threats. But if danger isn't your middle name, the engineer can use their repair tool to fix up friendly vehicles safely away from the front. Don't expect to fix up the chassis. That heavy-duty job can only be done by a repair station back at the main base or by one built at an FOB. When knocking seems too polite, be sure to get up close and personal and place a satchel charge. This preemptive explosive is great before the rest of your section rushes into breach. Keep the satchel charge handy because it can also be used to take out the radio of an enemy FOB. Outfitted with a grenade launching attachment, the Grenadier can discharge fragmentation rounds further than even Babe Ruth could hit them. Best used against dead space. Watch as they hit enemies through windows, doorways, and on the other side of a wall or berm. Within 400 meters, the Grenadier sets the range and launches a test round, after which he can make adjustments. The best Grenadiers will get them with the first round, but practice makes perfect with this finely tuned Undertaker. Like the heavy rains of April, the light mortar can rain down high explosives on any position. Spaced out rounds can provide just the right covering fire for an infantry section as it advances on an entrenched enemy position. Unlike a mortar pit at a forward operating base, the light mortar is limited to around 240 meters. In order to operate, find a flat area of ground and go prone. Press C and move the mouse up and down to range to your desired mark. After launching a round, make sure to alternate the distance by a few meters, and by a degree or two for maximum effect. Use the binoculars to observe the mortar splash and make adjustments as they land. Knowing the role of each kit in a section, and how to use it on the battlefield, will stop any enemy cold. Take this knowledge with you as you join the front lines. After the invention of the engine, mobilized warfare, or blitzkrieg as the Germans call it, was inevitable. It allows for quick attacks and reinforcement to any location. Furthermore, it strikes a beastly fear infantry haven't felt since the Romans fought Hannibal's elephants. The tools of a crewman aren't anything to be storming trenches or clearing buildings with. Traveling light, in order to fit in tight spaces, both the tank crewman and the commander are outfitted with a sidearm as well as the standard frags, smokes, bandages, and their own personal set of binoculars. Only the commander carries a submachine gun as his primary weapon. He's better suited for directing his crew in the protection of the hull-casted armor, made possible by the miracle of modern manufacturing. The secret tool every crewman carries is the repair wrench. It can be used to fix internal components, such as the engine or tracks. But remember, in order to fix a chassis, you'll need to take your vehicle to a repair station at main or at a forward operating base. Whether you're in a lightly armored reconnaissance car or the Meadows equivalent of a battleship, communication is a necessity. Be sure to assemble your crew and coordinate who will be the driver, gunner, commander, and the hull gunner. Once you're set, utilize the compass in the bottom left of your screen to call out enemy contacts. Speaking of the devil, enemy logistics, 2 o'clock. That'll do it. Fast moving and easy to maneuver, an armored car is great for reconnaissance and engaging enemy infantry. Coordinate with the infantry sections and check the map for enemy infantry markers and scout vehicles. Use the map and visual contact to decide when and where to fight. If you see an enemy tank, no matter its size, find some cover or concealment to move through while you hightail it out of there. Armored cars have between 3 and 4 seats depending on the vehicle. Enter the driver's seat by pressing F1. You're capable of turning the engine off and on by using the E key. You should notice both an auditory change and a change in the engine icon in the lower right of your screen. As the driver, use the W and S keys to move the vehicle forward and backward. In order to turn, press the A and D keys. While driving around, don't worry about low bushes or fences. You'll knock through them like Superman through a brick wall. You can also scroll with the mouse wheel to lift up the hatch, thus increasing your visibility while driving. However, it's best to close the hatch once the enemy is spotted. It is your job to look out for the terrain and watch your speed. Handily included by the fine engineers, your speedometer marks how fast you are going. Be careful, choosing the wrong speed for the terrain can cause you to flip your vehicle. An armored car, like the T-17 Staghound, has both a main gun and a hull gun. Other vehicles, like a half-track, are only mounted with a machine gun. The hull gun of the T-17 can be entered by pressing F3. Mounted with a Besa MG, the seat allows you to engage enemy infantry and position it by moving your mouse. You can press Q to zoom in on the enemy and press R to reload. The main gun of the T-17, the 37mm M51 cannon, can be entered by pressing F2. You can also reload the coax gun by pressing R. Switch between armor-piercing and high-explosive rounds by using the number keys. To move the turret, use the W, A, S, and D keys. You can also zoom in and out by using the Q key. Armor varies by the type of armored car. Typically, the armor is lighter than a tank and takes less anti-tank shots before it's destroyed. Similar to other vehicles, the engine is also usually in the rear, and the crewmen sit in the vehicle just below the hatch or behind the gun they're seated in. As a good rule of thumb, the bigger the tank, the bigger the gun, but it will be slower and easier to be maneuvered upon. Thus, choose a heavier tank for greater damage and a lighter tank for speed. Perfect for infantry support, light tanks have a quick reload speed and are able to relocate quickly. Hitting and running is the preferred tactic. Better than the other tanks, a light tank can be used cautiously and for short periods of time in urban environments. Stronger and more versatile than the light tank is the medium tank. They're designed, and should be used, for tank versus tank combat. Equipped with the Goldilocks combination of armor and firepower, they can outgun light tanks and outmaneuver heavy tanks. But if maximum firepower and sheer terror are your aim, go with the heavy tank. Each round you send down range is unmatched, but with great power comes a grave cost. Without the speed or maneuverability of the light and medium tank, it is best to have a lighter armored vehicle as a supporting element. Their job will be to deal with the enemy infantry and armored vehicles, so you can focus on the bigger fish. Always remember to make good use of those treads and move around from time to time. Heavy tanks have a large profile, which makes them easy to spot and call in air and artillery support on. Despite these differences, all enemy tanks are marked with the same symbol on the map. Tanks usually have 4 seats, one for the driver, the commander, the hull gunner, and one for the main gunner. The controls and interface for the driver, hull gunner, and main gunner in a tank would be familiar to any crew from an armored car. By pressing either the A key or the D key, the driver can rotate the entire tank without having to move forward or backward. Keep this in mind when making those fancy turns. Additionally, the commander seat, which can also be found in some armored cars, is essential for any tank's teamwork. Hop into the seat with F4. Now you can give out movement and attack orders with ease. Moreover, a crewman in the commander seat is able to open the hatch by scrolling with the mouse wheel for better observation. From there, the commander is able to use their binoculars by pressing Q. Another key to success is understanding the main gun. The gunner can scroll down with the mouse wheel to use the periscope. From here, he can maneuver it around with left control and his mouse. Furthermore, the speed of the turret can be adjusted by using left control and scroll down to go slower with more control, or scroll up to go faster. These are not your grandfather's cannons. Even the smallest tank is a mobile fright to any infantry or truck. A tank's classification isn't the only way to choose a vehicle. More importantly is understanding what cannon it comes equipped with, because crewman coordination and the size of the projectile often dictate the outcome of tank encounters. Take the Sherman for instance. The standard M4 has a 75mm gun, but it's outclassed by the British Firefly, which is mounted with a 76.2mm gun. The extended barrel and the added girth can make the difference in armor penetration. The Firefly is also equipped with smoke rounds, which can be used to conceal itself or friendly infantry. Another point to consider is the type of rounds the tank utilizes. The British Matilda Mark II and the Churchill Mark IV are both heavy tanks, but the Matilda has a smaller barrel and is only equipped with armor-piercing rounds. Thus, if you're looking to use high explosive rounds, the Matilda is not your tank. In order to hold down appropriately, or as an everyday man would say it, ensure your tank is in good cover, you need to understand what's going on inside the vehicle. As in the armored car, the crewmen sit just below the hatches and behind the main gun in the turret. Any piercing rounds can hit and injure those unlucky men. The ammo is normally placed on the side of the turret or just below it. A well-placed shot could ignite it and blow the tank to smithereens. Also below the turret is a turret drive. A strike there can knock it out of commission and prevent you from moving the main gun. One of the most important components is found outside of the vehicle. The tracks, if damaged enough by anti-tank rounds or rockets, can be taken out. You don't want that happening while you're in the thick of it. If a round strikes the engine, or if an anti-tank grenade is used on it, it can disable and stop you dead in the water. Additionally, rounds that hit perpendicular to the armor have a greater chance of penetrating. When you are hit, no need to leave the vehicle. You can press X and bandage yourself from inside. To prevent the enemy from hitting your vehicle's weak points, be sure to place the hull behind a wall or berm and the rear up against cover. This can prove difficult depending on the size of the tank. Yet, a self-propelled gun or tank destroyer like the German Stug 3 typically doesn't have a rotating turret. This reduces the vehicle's profile, but can make it more difficult to position that tank-busting cannon. Proper coordination with the infantry will give you the upper hand on enemy armor. Be sure to communicate and use shock and awe to seize the day.
Like and share if you enjoy the video and think others might benefit from this, and of course subscribe and hit the notification button if you are new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video.